Yep, we're back. Bobby Manning, start making your comments now. He's got the fade.
You seeing Hayward? Is that going to be
like,
the comparison again?
It's going to happen.
It's like when Steve Urkel goes into the chamber and comes out as Stefan. Is that what we got here?
Hey, Bobby,
Is that what we got
you
here?
hear that, Bobby?
I miss
Bobby might be
Urkel.
into that reference. He might be taking that reference.
No way Bobby knows. Bobby knows Steve Urkel is a 35-year-old.
Jimmy nailed it. Yo,
Dude,
this is
Family Matters
Stefan.
was my jam, dude.
Bobby, this is
Stefan,
like
man. Laura
the
about to
character
come
of the
kicking that
storyline.
door down, looking for Stefan.
He comes out cool, Bobby. That's all you got to know.
That's all you're gonna know.
So this is a tough one to like put your finger on. I guess we could always play the make miss league thing, which honestly,
come on.
I mean, what are you going to talk about here? Utah scored. I mean, look at the numbers from three.
They're a really good 3-point shooting team.
I know, but that's what happened.
They're
Celtics went 10 of 29. They went 19 of 43. They got lit up a little bit. Other than that, Celtics didn't play an awful game. The easiest thing to say here is Utah's obviously a better team, so it's really hard to pick apart the Celtics when you what are they going to do? They lost to a better team. Done.
Sweet.
Let's
Well,
end-
that's what they do.
end
They lose to better teams than them, which isn't really a good recipe for playoff basketball. So I mean, I guess this is who they are. I mean, Marcus Smart misses back-to-back threes. I guess one might have been a long two. If he hits one of those, the game might be different. I thought Jayson Tatum makes a nice move to the basket, blows by his defender, and then instead of going up for it, maybe drawing some contact and getting to the line, of which they didn't get to the line like all night, kicks it out to Marcus Smart. Honestly, I'm not gonna hate on the decision because Marcus Smart was open. But in that situation, if I'm Tatum, I'm taking the ball and I'm putting it in my own hands, quite literally, and I'm putting the shot up. He was hot in that second half at points, and if he makes that basket, maybe this game ends differently. Instead, Smart misses it, Jazz go down, and they drain a three. I think it was Mitchell who drains a three right there in 6-point game, and then they hit another. Smart misses another one, and they hit another one, and that's your game.
The second three is what bothered me more. First three,
because it was a quick one, right?
Well, it wasn't just that. It was
the first three wasn't a three.
Your first three wasn't a three, but it was in the flow. It was in the flow. It was open. Marcus had plenty of time. That's fine. The second one bothered me more because there's no reason Tatum should have been even looking to that side of the floor. You can see it if you go back and you watch it. Okay, you've got Jaylen and Kemba on the right side of the floor, and Kemba was standing, completely on the other side of the floor, and as soon as he sees the ball go over, he just kind of his shoulders sink, and the shot goes up, and he's like, okay, I'm sure he's not going to throw a tantrum over it, but it's like, hey, scorers over here, they're both kind of it's a strange choice. I understand in the flow of a game, you whip it around, pass, defense rotates, you get it over to somebody for an open three. Look, those are great. This was like he went looking for Smart on that. It was just a strange one. He just didn't even look to the right side of the court where he had better scorers and better options. Yeah. But, again, even if that one goes, there's still an uphill battle. I mean, Jazz put the foot on the gas there a little bit late. Celtics made a good run there late when Rob I'm not going to make this all about Rob again, but Rob came back in the game there. You had some really rough Grant minutes for a while as well. And they made that good push in the fourth. But then Utah just took it from him.
Yeah, and it's tough for me to tell whether it was that finishing stretch by Utah. Obviously, the fourth quarter, they dropped 40 points. They were dominant start to finish in that one. The Celtics couldn't keep up with that. But I also think you mentioned Grant and Semi in the first half. Those minutes where those guys are in and it's just chipped away. You have 19 minutes of Semi, you have 17 minutes of Grant, and they do so little in those minutes that you just chip away, and the Jazz are able to stay in the game consistently, even though they didn't play all that well through three quarters, because of the fact that those guys just don't generate any offense, and that were largely empty minutes for both of them in either side of the half. And so this is the thing. We get away from double big, which wasn't working all that well, but the team doesn't have the personnel to run three wings either.
That's always been the problem.
Yeah, that's true. So, but then
is it the performance, or is it those throughout the floor of the game where every single team is able to stay in the game with these teams? It's probably a little bit of both.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's sort of the down the stretch going to be the dilemma, right, for Brad Stevens against these sort of teams. But I thought that this was a great opportunity for Rob Williams to get that in-game action, that down to the wire, going up against the best team in the NBA, where the Celtics are trusting you in that stretch. And he did okay, but of course there were those shortcomings, whether it was that forced layup where he was right in front of the basket. It seemed like he was just hesitant. Gobert just sort of gave him that look, and he just kind of just threw it up there. The second one was almost the opposite, right? He forced it so hard that it almost didn't go in. He just cracked the backboard in that second one. And I just think those plays going to go a long way because he's always going to be wide open, but he's got to be obviously not as hesitant as he was in that first attempt. And then, of course, the crucial turnover, he's clearing the way for Tatum. That was a humongous call for them. When the Celtics lost that possession, I mean, Marcus Smart
can't stand the call.
That three down the stretch, I didn't like, of course, the second one because I feel like Marcus almost is like, all right, I get it, you're in the flow of the offense, but there was a minute and 55 seconds, I believe. Like you're in the 2 minutes here. The Utah Jazz, like possessions mean everything here. I just thought it was a bit careless.
And I don't do this often, but the Celtics did get nailed tonight, ref-wise. The Clarkson 3-point call, the screen. Again, we talked about this all year, John. What's that call? Yeah. I mean, come on. 90% of the time that's let go. So what are you calling
that one? That one's too obvious, Bobby. That one was a little too obvious.
The seal?
Yeah.
The seal was pretty obvious. I mean, he stuck his arms. I mean, he's a big dude. Make it a little less obvious.
Yeah, especially when Tatum took an extra step. Tatum put him on display because he took that extra step.
My God, Tatum, he's a friggin' 2-time All-Star, 3rd-team All-NBA, and he can't get he is damaged forever with the refs. He cannot get a call. Every 50-50.
If he sells it a little better, maybe he gets that.
Every 50-50 goes against him, man. The friggin'
3-point play, the last one.
The offensive foul, and granted, if he sticks his arm out a little bit, but oh Jesus,
they were on top of the Celtics tonight. I mean, Theis had a few touch fouls that they were just boom, and we expect that. Yeah. So you gotta defend without fouling, and that was a concern tonight too. They turned the ball over a ton on the offensive end, which kept the Jazz in. Its execution was certainly not sharp. Yep.
How many free throws did they shoot? Anybody want to guess?
None outside and ones, right?
Total free throws in the game.
Definitely single digits.
4.
Yeah, it was all and ones.
Oh, they got one late.
4. Oh,
Tatum definitely got one. That's the one I was thinking of. A few.
That's hard to do. I mean, and they didn't take a ton of 3-pointers tonight.
I think they went the whole game without a shooting foul outside of a make. So, yeah.
The offense was crisp, and a lot of that had to do with them getting stopped from the perimeter. Like, that first quarter, I mean, you knew it wasn't going to last, but the way they were defending the 3-point, I mean, it was incredible. I'm like, you don't see Utah, struggle that way, at least for that long stretch. It essentially seemed like the entire first half, and then came the second, and everything changed.
So I don't know. I hate doing this. It feels like it's lazy, low-hanging fruit. But again, we're stuck in that same place between does Brad know what he's doing with the rotations, or or can he be blamed for it? Because no matter who you put in, you're always playing roulette here. As you mentioned, he tried Semi to start. I'm going to be baffled by this from the end of time. I hate making the game about it, but you could not have had a better stage to start Rob Williams tonight than has ever existed.
Here we go.
Theis didn't play poorly. I'm just so confused that it didn't happen. I'm confused by the Semi start, even though I thought that's what
Theis was really good tonight.
I'm confused by Teague playing more than Pritchard. I'm confused right now. I don't know what's happening.
We all thought Rob was I was like, Rob's going for
Tristan
30 minutes tonight. Yeah. Nope, 21.
Rob plays a perfect game. Stevens is basically like, I obviously have to start playing him more. And again, he played him fine, but I tweeted this half jokingly. We're in the same position. Rob passed Grant Williams in minutes somewhere late in the fourth. What are we doing? I'm not. And it was Bobby. What bothers me more is it became the same thing as before. It's that cowardice. We can't possibly play Rob against Gobert. He waited till Gobert went to the bench and Favors came in, and then he brought him in. Are we afraid to play him? I don't. That's more what I mean. It's not that Theis doesn't deserve his minutes. Theis played well in the first half. I just don't understand. Is Brad still afraid to play him at times? I mean, it was literally the second Gobert went out and Favors came in, they're like, okay, now it's safe to play Rob until the fourth.
I don't think it's about being scared. I think it's about maximizing the minutes that you have him out there. And we're going to do the same thing again and again. I think he's playing the perfect amount. You get 7 to 10 out of him. You have 14 points, 9 rebounds, 2 blocks. You can't be happy with that. You can't be happy with him closing the game as he did for the final section.
Why would you be happy that a guy who plays so well when he's in there plays fewer minutes than he could be playing? Why is that something that makes you happy?
It doesn't make me happy. I just think it's the reality.
Doesn't make me happy. You just asked me if I'm happy. I'm not happy, Bobby.
I'm happy he's closing.
Bobby.
That's all there is to it.
Theis was
and again,
nice,
Theis
well
really
played. I wouldn't say he was
15
freaking
and
awesome.
11.
I care more about him
6.
than starting. But I'm
15, 11, 6, minus 12.
Like, the starting thing's so
Grant,
ceremonial that there'd be high fives across Celtics Nation if he just got to start.
It's not about starting. It's about getting more minutes because you're starting and putting him up against other premier talent in the NBA to see how he's going to do.
Crunch time, and it went okay. You know, he got the block on Mitchell. He was
playing with the first unit.
Right.
He gets to do it in crunch time though, which is what really should matter to you guys.
And that's what they made their run there.
So if he's good enough to play with them in crunch time, why can't he play with them before crunch time? Why are we waiting until 4 minutes left?
Look, I know he's improving it, and we've been talking about it for the last 3 weeks, obviously. But I mean, John, don't you get a little worried that he's just like 2 quick fouls away from that first quarter from seeing the bench? Like, honestly, a lot of the time, I just feel like, you know what? I'm with you. I want to see him continue to get reps with that starting unit, but I think it's way more important at the end of games, especially against teams like this, someone like Gobert. I thought that was really important for him to get those reps in, win or lose. I think those reps go a long way. And I'm
one
with you
foul tonight.
The starting with the starters, yes, he has to get more reps in with those guys.
I'm surprised.
The rotation's so tight right now. He's going to be out there with Brown. He's going to be out there with Tatum. And we do this every night, which is what frustrates me. He's not the reason they're winning or losing these games. He's contributing. He's playing really well. I think he's playing the right amount. And if you push it up to 30 here, does it flip the game? I mean, maybe.
And again, I'm not making it all on Rob. I am confused again what's happening here, because again, it was the couple things you don't like seeing is that stint where he comes in just with the bench guys. He was avoiding Gobert, actively avoiding Gobert. I mean, it was Favors went to the scorer's table, Rob got up. So obviously, again, there's a hesitation. It's very I don't get that. And when on a night where Tristan is out, you're like, great, this is perfect. They're only going to play the 2 bigs now, and you give Grant 18 minutes, and I just don't fully get it. Right. That's all. I don't get it.
Right. Well, we just who was it? Sherrod on the last show.
I'd rather Theis get him. Anyway, yeah. Go ahead. Bob.
Well, he said on the last show, maybe it's better that Brad just stick with 2 guys, 2 bigs per game, and 1 guy gets the short end of the stick. And then he has the perfect opportunity. Brad has the perfect opportunity tonight to, lean on Theis and Rob, as the only 2 really healthy big guys. And like you said, Johnny, he goes and he throws Grant in there for 20 minutes or whatever it was. And
Grant was playing
throws them all off,
And this is why I'm advocating for a trade.
You might need it at this point. I mean, this is again the conundrum. It's just like I said, is on this night following Rob is not the reason they won or lost tonight. We don't know. I don't think so. That's not why I'm bringing it up. It just seemed like coming off that game, and the way he played, and Gobert, and a good matchup that you thought, okay, let's see what his athleticism can do here with Gobert. Let's get him. This would be a great opportunity. Then Tristan gets COVID. It just seemed like all the planets were aligned here to make this happen. It just didn't happen. So it's disappointing, because this would have been, as Joe Sway mentioned, a good showcase, a good opportunity to run there. In general, that second unit and that bench was bad. So when Rob was out there wasn't a lot going on at that time. Smart didn't have a great game himself. So just kind of, and he was still making the most of his minutes. I'm not putting this game on Williams at all. I was surprised that this was how he was used.
No, and it doesn't have to happen so fast. If we look at his collective last month now, and I know Jay King put the stat out there on Sunday, like 17 per 36, 13 rebounds, 5 blocks over the last 5 or 4 weeks, rather. Like, he's playing outstanding right now. I just give him credit for what he's doing right now. I think he's helping the team in a substantial way.
14, 9, and 2 over 22. It's the same thing. Same numbers.
They're going to start ticking in the right direction. I think he's in a great role to succeed right now, and he's doing it every single night, which is important. So, like, you just because we see the success doesn't mean it has to shoot right up to 30 and put him in more minutes.
Bobby, we've been having this conversation for like 2 months, though.
Right.
Like, that's the point. Like, we know it's not going to happen overnight.
Let me ask you this question. Bobby, if you could trade for a center on your team right now, who averaged 18, 13, and 4 and played 36 minutes a game, don't you think that guy would make the team better?
I think so, but we had this conversation yesterday. Would he actually put that out there over those minutes?
I don't know, but he did it. If you do the math, somebody at home do the math here and extrapolate this over 36, it'll be the same freaking numbers. If he does it every night, it's not like he has one game where he has 22 and 20 and then another game. Every night, this is basically his line. It's like 14, 10, and 2 over 20 minutes.
Right.
Every night. Why do you think it wouldn't work over 30? What would happen in those next 10 minutes? He would just
So if you play,
he would take a nap out there.
He'd just be like, I'm so tired, I can't do this.
I'm over my minutes. I'm tired.
His knees just give out.
It's like the battery run low.
Now that I look at the math tonight, it wouldn't be too hard to put up 4 and 4
Again,
over the next 14.
No one's expecting him to average the per 36 numbers. It's just an indication of how well he's played with the limited minutes. So it kind of makes you wonder, okay, well, what could this guy give us if he played 5 more minutes a game instead of, 20 minutes, he's paying 25, right? So that's what those numbers are there to tell you.
Like, that's the target that I have, 25. So tonight wasn't that far off.
It doesn't matter. I don't want to make it about that, but this is another almost depressing game in the sense of like, it shows you who they are, and then you watch a game like this and you're like, is this team a player away? What is this team?
No, I'm glad you said that, John, because you know what? I was thinking to myself throughout, let's say about a good chunk of 3.5 quarters or so, even when it seemed like the Celtics, okay, they're probably gonna lose this game, but let's just see how this thing ends. I'm like, this is what. And I know we're still early, right? But I'm like, this is playoff basketball. Like, this is Celtics playoff basketball. This is what they would look like if they were in a 7-game series. And it's not as awful as you think it would have, right? If you think about it, overall, right? This is a team, of course, they're not going to see the Jazz unless they make it to the NBA Finals or, all that. Teams like the Jazz, a lot of teams like the Jazz, you don't see in the East, right? Or unless it's few, right? And I think the Celtics we saw was those mishaps. But again, down the stretch, Robert Williams. Look, I don't necessarily want to see him play 30 because that 25 minutes is perfect. Down the stretch, he's going to get those reps in, that physicality. Look, the Utah Jazz, they took it another level with the Celtics. Just physical. Like, I feel like Robert Williams, he learned something today. Put it that way. I think he's thinking about Gobert, and I don't know. I just think those experiences go a long way for someone like Robert Williams because he's so important for this team and their playoff hopes or their playoff run.
So this is our big picture conversation we're going to have here too with this team, because you might be right in the sense that Rob's extended run, big situations, experience this year would be a powerful asset for them. I think you could say the same for Nesmith, younger players down the bottom of this roster, Pritchard, who we didn't see tonight, and we're really not seeing all that much anymore. So at what point, and we started to see the rumors this week that a veteran could be getting shipped out of here. Do you ship multiple veterans out of here, which is an idea I threw around?
Bobby, don't say a veteran. Just say Tristan Thompson, bro. Tristan Thompson is the guy. Tristan
Thompson's the name. But yeah, do you ship multiple veterans out of here and kind of – what's the comparison, John? They traded a guy in Moneyball so the other guy could play first base. Am I getting that right? Like that kind of situation.
At least in the movie.
Yeah.
The book was way better.
Traded Carlos Pena. No, I mean, it was an actual season. We watched them play baseball. It's so funny. That entire movie they don't mention it's because Hatterberg played first. No, because they had freaking Mulder and
Hatterberg.
They didn't once mention that they had 3 of the best 7 pitchers in the majors.
Right.
What direction are you going as a team? I've thrown this out there. You can go young. You can push experience on these younger guys and really emphasize their roles here alongside, the younger core of this team. Move Kemba possibly, move Tristan, which would be a smaller first move in that sense, and clear this out. Because right now, we know what Brad's going to do. Brad's going to lean on the veterans. He's going to tighten up this rotation and go with who he believes in.
There's problems with the people playing, too. I mean, this defense was garbage tonight. The amount of open threes and just kind of dropping
their heads
back and letting guys play, the fouling. This was an awful defensive performance. I mean, and we see so many of them from this team. It's like, who's going to come in and fix all of it? You need things, but you also need this group of players to play all around better basketball. And that, again, includes just horrendous defense, playing with 0 pace, again, being near the bottom of the league in assists. It's just not a team that does anything exceptionally well beyond having 2 really good talents. And then Rob Williams, who's frigging, like a racehorse whose gate won't open, but I mean, that's what else do we have? What do they have going for him? What does this team have going for it right now? Not a ton. They're not doing it. They're not doing anything at a really high level right now. They have some players who can put up good individual performances. As a team, they're not doing anything at a high level. Anything.
They don't have a lot of high-level players. They have 3 or 4 on any given night.
Where's the Kemba apology cam crowd, by the way?
Hey, I thought he had a good game, Jimmy.
I didn't think he was pretty non-existent. I mean, he didn't have a bad game. He didn't have a great game. He missed a couple of shots himself, but he had a nice 3 in the 4th there. Kind of keep him.
His defense was active. He was one of the guys who was contributing. The problem these games.
Look at the Celtics bench tonight, and look at the Jazz bench tonight. You want to talk about a well-rounded team, a deep team, a team that can shoot from all over. I think they've got, what stat did I see on TNT? They have 6 guys shooting 37% or more from 3.
I'm gonna say, Jimmy, I look at their bench. I just see shooters, man. They're all shooters. But
they got shooters.
Ingles doesn't miss.
Ingles shows up to the Y, and he's probably taken so much money from your average Joe at the Y. When you see this guy rolling up, throw his backpack, and you're like, oh, I'll take him. I'll cover him. And he just
I'll guard Ingles.
Yeah, I'll take Ingles.
I get this guy.
And he just absolutely murders you all the way up and down the court. That's just the type of team they have. I mean, they just got guys that are I don't know. I mean, I'm not following the Jazz game in, game out, but they seem to be believers in themselves. And I know a lot of teams around the NBA, and there was that famous or infamous, the way you want to call it, little back and forth between Shaq and Donovan Mitchell, where Shaq was like, I don't think, I don't believe in you guys or whatever. And Donovan Mitchell was like, okay,
Deeper.
they don't care. So they have a full roster over there, and the Celtics just don't. That's not breaking news. We know that they don't have a roster deep enough to roll with the big boys.
When they rotated in the bench tonight, they got pulverized. Clarkson's pull-ups, the Niang lobs to Gobert.
First half Clarkson was.
Yeah. Ingles doesn't miss. He doesn't miss. Point blank. And that's a guy, Team Australia. You watch him last 2 years ago in that World Cup. That guy can
ball. You're just all about friggin' international play, aren't you?
You notice the guys who stand out in it. Gobert, France. They get some international experience there in Utah. It's a great system. So I got it low on them, and a lot of people around the league go like Utah, and they roll their eyes. They're just a tough team, and that's all there is to it. You don't have to elevate them their championship status, even though they've gone out to this awesome start. They certainly have limitations on the top end talent of their team, but you can build a great quality roster like the Celtics did in 17 almost. I think this team's a little better than that, but
I'll take
play on both ends of the floor.
That's fine. I'm not a believer.
But see, that's the thing.
I'm not a believer, but you know what? They're better than the Celtics.
They are, and I'm not a believer.
Yeah, but they have a whole.
What if they were in the East?
They have a whole nother thing going because I think they had that us against the world mentality, because whether it's people just never putting them in the championship conversation or the fact that, they're number one.
Have that and losing the second round. That's fine.
Yeah, but there's a lot to it. Also, too. I mean, John, look what happened a couple of weeks ago with the draft, and you know, LeBron James being like, "Oh, no one likes Utah." You know, even when you're a kid, no one picks the Jazz on 2K. Like, I think all that is relevant.
Yeah,
what happened tonight? But hold on, what happened tonight? Jaylen Brown drops his boy, and everything just went downhill for like, it was like Donovan was like, "I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna make sure everyone else gets you." Everyone saw that. We're on national TV, and we're all coming for you now. And that's when I think the momentum shifted. I don't know. Maybe
when he patted his ass, you didn't like that?
I love it.
well, you can,
I love doing
you can
that.
see why nobody likes Gobert either. What's he doing all game? He's stuffing guys in the face with elbows and body blows and dunking on Theis's head and blocking Jaylen at the rim. It's a meanness factor to him, and
there's no
he's
way
gonna have to embrace that. Yeah, he doesn't. He's gonna have to embrace that.
Right. That's how they're going to try to beat the Lakers. Like that physicality in your face, us against everyone else. No one believes in us type of, you know,
Well,
motto.
the French are assholes, so that's really not a shock to me.
Wow. We might have some viewers in France. Come on.
Right.
That's a quote
don't
from some movie. Maybe
don't get canceled in France now. Come on, man. We got fans everywhere, Jimmy.
Yeah, we big in France? I wouldn't know, but probably. I've been to Nice. Beautiful.
I love France, and I love French people. I do. I do.
I'm cool with that. I mean,
that's when the ticker goes away.
I love
Jimmy
it.
Toscano's ideas don't represent CLNS.
No, not one bit. Not one bit.
French.
Not one bit. Paris is my favorite city in the world.
Never been.
It is.
I've heard good things.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just don't be a regular American asshole when you go there.
What did you do?
Noted.
You must have had a good time.
I try to speak French. I don't speak it well, but they appreciate the effort.
No, they don't. Trust me. You were that American asshole. You just
No.
Je m'appelle John.
The American asshole is the one who's like, oh, can I get this medium? No, we give you steak frites and they're bleeding all over the plate, and that's how you eat it. So just eat it and shut up.
or like the 11 questions before everything, every order.
Yeah. Oh God. Anyway, I don't know. I hate talking about this team now. Have the Patriots signed anybody? I'll switch gears right now.
Oh man, did they?
I'll switch gears right now too. Are you kidding me? All it takes is Bill Belichick to open up the pocketbook, and the Celtics are all of a sudden distant memory in the Boston sports world. Maybe not on our show, thankfully, but
yeah,
I don't think anyone talked about the Celtics win on Sunday night, or I don't know if many of them that will be talking about their loss tomorrow if the Patriots are still doing their thing.
Yeah,
I was thinking you got to bring up the hard, the feelings that were hurt after the Super Bowl. Bill Belichick, he has that picture of Brady somewhere hanging around as motivation. like that also has a lot to do with this. Like he's going all in now.
He has to. Brady put him
If
to the
anything,
fire.
He's like, give me just a shot out of him. Just give me that narrative. Patriots, Buccaneers, Super Bowl. Like that's what he's thinking about.
Well, you know what? I won't go into it too much, but this is all Tom was asking for last season or the season prior. Just put some talent around me, bud. Put some talent around me, and
now you do it. We'll now you want to do it.
Yeah. Now he wants to all of a sudden pony up.
Don't do it too late with Tatum and Brown.
Ooh, it's true. You don't want that. You don't want that situation.
And that's this is the big debate. This is the big debate right now. Do you invest in this team or is it not worth it? I'm already starting to see people cool off. We had Jared Weiss on Celtics Beat saying, oh, maybe it's not worth it to invest in Harrison Barnes. He's not going to move the needle all that much. He's not going to change the team entirely. And you do see hints of that in crunch time against the Nets, against the Jazz. But ultimately, I think you're so thin, so weak in supporting role players. Any just helpful cast outside of Rob off that bench and Smart, if he's playing well, it's going to be a big bonus. But if he's not, then you need some serious depth on that wing. And I still think it's valuable to add to this team, to invest in this team, and bring them closer. Because I still think the worst thing you could have with this team is a bow out early first round because you just can't keep up in the flow of games or close games, which is what they're so firmly stuck in the middle right now that it's unbelievable. And you got to bring it in one direction or the other, I think. And so at this point, I know prices are getting high around the league. I know it's going to be a brutal trade market, and we're already seeing names we've tossed around left and right get taken out, whether that's true or not. But I'd like to see them do something, even if it's something minor at this point. And I know I haven't been thrilled about the idea of a minor move, but they just need reliable depth. Like, it's so hard for me right now when you guys are throwing around names like Nesmith, and I know Rob's become more reliable, but even Pritchard at this point, about 2 or 3 months into the season, we're seeing that he's not all that reliable. In terms of reliable talent here.
Yeah.
That's why Brad's we ripped Brad in the night out. He's all over the place, changing directions. Nothing's reliable.
Who's a buy low candidate that you like then? Because I feel like I'm thinking you were completely like outside of that idea. Like, you just didn't want anything to do with it because you would rather see the younger guys get those minutes. I thought that was the case. I thought it was either go big or
either direction. I just want a direction.
All the buy low candidates are on the Celtics.
I mean, who's someone that's not going to cost the Celtics a stack of first-round picks, I guess, should be the question.
So here's the Kevin O'Connor report tonight. 2nd-round pick for Trevor Ariza. Like, that's – what are we talking about here? Really?
That's my line.
You can't throw 2 seconds?
That's not tied with the Celtics, that report.
Trademark.
I feel like John right now. My head's just spinning. I'm like, this is the dialogues? 2 second-round picks can't get it done?
Again,
it's pretty baffled.
It's pretty clear at this point they're looking to do a deal that will allow them to preserve the TPE heading into the offseason. That's what they want to do, and that's what they're going to do. And I think people just have to mentally prepare themselves for that. That's
so
it.
risky.
I have. I'm prepared.
Yeah.
It's being thrown out there like such an obvious move. Like, oh, let's just wait. There'll be something there. We can figure it out this year.
We've had this conversation a ton. You can throw it away to make yourself 1% better and overpay for something that you don't necessarily want and only kind of sort of need, or you roll the dice and try to hit a home run. Do you want to basically like get hit by a pitch here and stumble down to first, down 10 runs? Who cares? You're trying to do something real, like I took one for the team.
Yeah. Rally, put on the rally cap.
So here we go, like
There's always a cost. There's always a cost to doing nothing, though, and we've seen this team. Yeah. This team's tiptoeing along a line where they can be solid and acceptable if they're fully healthy. But the second you see a rotation guy go down, it collapses to a point where it gets scary. I mean, we were talking about
who they are.
Job.
They're not getting saved. They're not getting saved.
Not in the middle of the season.
So, Bobby, when I say the answers lie within, I mean they better. And if they don't, then that's it. They are who they are. I don't think anything changes it because there's not going to be a home run. So that's what sucks is mediocrity is the worst. You go out and you beat a problem. You go out and you beat a crap team and then you lose to a better team. And we're stuck here saying the same shit over and over again, which is like, it's you're just scratching your head. You're looking for answers where none exist. It's like, what if they did this better? They can't. How many more games do they have to play to do the same stuff to say that it's just not in them to play better? You are what your record is. It's a 500 team. They're a 500 team.
And I think that's unacceptable in sports. It's the worst place to be, specifically in this league.
They're not doing
in this league in particular. I mean, they are, but they aren't, but they are, Jimmy. Whether it's the coach not investing in young players and making those decisions on his own accord, which I think is hard to expect him to do because in this, I mean, every time there's a 3-game, 4-game losing streak, it's like a mob outside of his house ready to kick him back to Indiana. So, like, is he really going to start playing Carson and Rob?
No, let's bring it back to this. Let's do the easiest thing possible. Again, definition of insanity is what? Doing the same shit over and over again and expecting different results. We're 40 games in, and if Thompson doesn't get COVID, we're starting another 2-big lineup tonight. And if that happens again, we're going to riot, okay? Like, you want to do something different? Again, I'm not pinning the entire season on Rob Williams playing and start the game. But for the love of God, shake something up. Try something different. The easiest thing by far to do right now is to insert Rob into the starting lineup and see what happens. It's literally the only card you have left to play because he's tried the Semi card. He's tried to play Grant. He's tried a few different things.
He's tried Green. I saw tonight they've had 17 different starting lineups.
A run. You got one card to play. Just play the friggin' thing and try it because this is – otherwise, you're just rolling around and doing the same stuff over and over again.
Has Rob started one game this year?
No. And again, I know people are saying it's not the issue. I'm literally saying try it. Again, to use a cross-sports analogy, Cam Newton isn't the only reason the Patriots lost last year, but for the love of God, just try something different. You know what you're going to get there. You see this enough to know what you're going to get. Try anything different. Just mix it up. Try to put Kemba on the bench. See, I'm not saying do it. Just try something. Like anything would happen. He did it with Gordon, when it wasn't working out, a couple of years ago, his first year back from injury, he started him, he moved him to the bench. Just try anything. Try something different.
Here's the problem though, John.
Looking back, you probably shouldn't have benched Gordon, but that's another story.
And right, but you don't coach the public. Yeah. You don't coach the public pressure, but do you think they'd be patient if they did that for 6 games and dipped down to 20 and 24? Would they? And it's not just Rob. No, it's not just Rob. Again, this isn't the only conversation. They're playing Rob a lot. I keep saying this. They're not pulling minutes from him fully on any given night. That happens to Pritchard. That happens to Neesmith. That happens in other situations.
It's not on their level. Those are rookies. He's a third-year center who's playing like one of the most athletic bigs in the NBA. Like, let him play a little bit. Just try it. Like John said, like nothing else is working.
Just try it.
Just why not? Just give it a shot.
Try it.
Just try it.
Why not? You're 20 and 19. Try it.
How many more games do we have to do this?
Tonight's problems though came down to Semi, Grant, Teague versus Pritchard, Neesmith, Edwards, or Green. One of the those are the kind of back and forth situations that actually matter right now because Theis played really good in this game. Rob played really good in this game. You're changing 2 guys who played really good in this situation. What you're not doing is switching Ojeleye for Neesmith, Grant for, let's say, Green. Like those kind of switches are the ones that are more interchangeable and aren't changing all that much right now. And so you can invest in those younger guys and play them more at this point. But those are the kind of switches probably they're going to go from steady.
This is why we were begging.
Losing.
Again, the answer actually, sadly, is there probably isn't an answer. The reason we're saying try it and the reason we were begging for for Neesmith minutes early in the year, and the reason I'm going to beg for Romeo minutes if and when he ever gets on the court is just
if he exists.
To try.
No, that's where I'm trying to move this.
Different.
That's where I'm trying to move this conversation because we can talk about Rob all day long and toss.
It's not Rob. It's just Rob's the only thing that works. Everything else hasn't worked, which is why, again, I'll try anything at this point.
I'm talking about 19 of Semi versus 0 of Neesmith.
Yes.
17 of Grant versus 0 of Green. Like those kind of switches where it's more dramatic. Like if we're really adjusting the Theis Rob minutes, it's like 6 minutes either way. Those other positions right now are like 20 minutes of difference where guys aren't playing
tonight. But if Tristan played tonight, Rob would have been probably in the 16-17 range again, and we'd be screaming all over. So I'm not going to argue the Rob thing.
That's another problem with the roster. You want to talk about that Thompson thing?
What? Whether he gets dished?
Yeah, because that's the start of this conversation. The adjustments that need to be made here.
Who's spreading that? Because it's out there.
That was Chris Haynes.
Why is he out tonight?
COVID.
So he's got COVID now. So now he doesn't even. We don't even see him before the deadline, and
in the protocols. We don't know. We don't know if he's got. I don't know if he's got it. We just know he's in the safety protocol.
Yeah, that could be tracing.
Great timing.
Damn, Jimmy.
What's the report? Celtics might be looking at shop. The Celtics might have come to the realization, when we mentioned this before, that it hurts them. I mean, Brad said it last game. He went and talked to Theis and he said, "You're out. I'm going to go with these guys in the second half. Just that's what it is." But he's playing the hot hand, recognizes trying to play all 3 every single game. People can't get into a flow or into a rhythm, so it might only be 2. So Tristan would make sense because you can move that salary out, and see what you can do. I mean, we've mentioned a couple different possibilities where maybe they get something, but the money saved allows them to re-sign Theis in the offseason. There's a couple different scenarios here. The question is whether you trade him for anything of. Ideally, you'd like to trade him for something you could use, but maybe you just trade him just for the sake of opening up minutes for other guys and getting it off your books.
That's what this would be about. If you're trading Thompson in the scenario thrown around to the Raptors, specifically a conference competitor like the Raptors, making them better, making yourself worse in any scenario there, you're opening up minutes for depth bigs on the roster and more development and just room to breathe for some of the younger bigs on this roster. And, giving Thompson a chance to win and ultimately his hometown next year. He wanted to go to the Raptors. They ended up going to Tampa. And I think that was a big motivating factor in him coming to Boston in the first place. So to see that out there in reports signaled to a lot of people out there that Thompson would be okay with a move like that. And there's some level of agent appeasement there and just making sure he's set up because he ultimately came here to have a big role. And if they're shipping him out somewhere, they want it to be a place where he's going to be happy with. But that just signals to me, are the Celtics, are Thompson having that conversation right now where, we might just move on if this season isn't looking great? Where do you want to go? And that's where I start thinking again. We thought about this at the worst times of this year. Do you just kind of throw in this year and sink a little deeper and get a better draft position and make this a development year? I'd be much better with that than a first round exit, second round sweep type situation.
I know, but we kind of discussed this. Is one,
Bobby,
that's
they're not
going
to punt the season. Yeah. Enough
well,
with that take.
Yeah,
it's just never going to happen.
I can't believe you used that word a couple weeks ago, the T word, talking about tanking. But anyways, let's talk about the team though, or at least the report, right? And it's from Chris Haynes of Yahoo Sports. He's talking about he links the Toronto Raptors, and we don't know if it's because of obviously family he grew up there and the ties that he had. But I mean, look, I know this name isn't crazy sexy for some fans out there, but I mean Stanley Johnson, he's an option, I guess. I mean, if we're talking about locking
the
down
return wouldn't be great.
It wouldn't be great. It would just be another weapon to help you defend the perimeter, and that's exactly what we're saying in return here. But I mean, let's face it. To create space for those two bigs between Theis and Robert Williams to split those minutes down the middle, however Brad sees fit. I mean, addition by subtraction, I don't hate the idea of the move, and of course it would have to be another player have to be involved because they'd have to match contracts here. So this wouldn't be a TPE situation.
Yeah, and it'd be a money dumping scenario too, but you do have to eat money coming back. So there's a contract you could send out another trade if you do have more of a medium style deal at the deadline. Right. There was always a thought
Tristan Nesmith, a first for OG and Baines. Do it.
You're not giving up OG. Yeah. Don't give me.
Jimmy doesn't even like it. You guys are saying they never do it. Jimmy hates it.
I don't hate it.
You hate that?
I don't hate it.
Oh, okay. Good.
Again, it really just depends on what you think of Nesmith. If you just think this is Nesmith and for the rest of his career, then obviously make that trade. If you think Nesmith can turn into a shooter, then I think that's obviously giving up on him. You said you were going to add a first round pick, right, John?
No, we're going to give it.
That's what I'm saying. You're going to give a first round pick and Nesmith and Thompson. Baines is just a throw in for OG. So you're basically giving up 2 first round picks for OG. So if you don't value Nesmith at all, then okay, go ahead.
OG's really good.
I wouldn't even blink at that. I would do it in a heartbeat.
Yeah, right. Sign me up.
I don't think that's the kind of trade this would be. I know Brandoni there throw up just a Thompson for Baines swap. I think that would be the most ridiculous thing in the world.
I know, but let's do mine.
That's a downgrade. Who said that?
Bernardoni.
The idea behind that is Baines. You don't pick up
the 1-year deal. Yeah,
you use that money to theoretically extend Rob Theis.
Gotcha.
If it allows
you don't have to play him.
If that allows you to keep Theis, you're basically trading Thompson for Theis. Even though they're on the same team. That's the theory behind it. Because if Thompson's under contract next year, you've got him, and you probably can't and won't re-sign Theis if that's the case. Moving him allows you to. So that you're basically trading Thompson for Theis there.
Again, the team didn't envision the situation where Rob was playing so well and becoming so reliable that there would be a crunch at center instead of kind of this rotational matchup-based system that they had last year. I think they envisioned it being pretty similar to last year, and instead it's been 3 guys playing very well while they're weak on the wing. So instead they're stuffing 2 centers on the court. Did we ever imagine this? I remember like a week before the season, John was like, or Jimmy was rather like, would they play 2 centers together? And I said, no way. And instead it's been like 20 plus games of that.
Mm-hmm. I can't say it's been working out, but I did see it happening.
I can't wait to see how good Rob plays on the next team he goes to. Because we're wasting his talents here.
Really?
I think they'll extend them.
It's gonna be a stud somewhere else. That's
what would they even pay him? I mean, do they even value him? I don't know. Does Ainge really value bigs?
Definitely not.
So what are they willing? And
it
doesn't really
does, but it's different because the generation, things have changed, right? The last decade or so. But
Ainge values swings and wings, flashy guards, versatile players, athletic dudes. I'm not saying Thompson. I'm not saying Williams isn't athletic, but I just don't know how they feel about giving big money long-term deals to bigs.
I'm frustrated with the build of this roster. I really am. Like we tossed around the center situation. I'm wildly frustrated about the wing situation, and I think you guys let off more steam over the offseason than I did, but I expected them to be aggressive with this TPE, make the changes that were needed in season, and figure it out from there.
Someone wanted
to just leave this hanging a year. I mean, we're heading toward a year later that they're going to make the changes that are needed here. That's frustrating.
Can we trade Kemba? Can we go back to that?
Oh, come on. Nice him.
Again, if he's playing well this season and you have long-term concerns, why not look into it? I mean, that would be the next step after Thompson.
It is.
And again, if they did that,
how about this?
I would love it.
If the knees are fine and some team takes him, then I'll apologize. Okay? But only if he's traded. Deal? Deal.
You could do a mini teardown in this situation and give yourself the flexibility you desire next offseason to make a major move.
Yep.
Who knows if it's going to be there? Yeah. But yeah, and then you have a better draft pick too. What's sitting in the middle going to do for this team? Like,
you're not going to. You don't. Like I said, tank. Jaylen and Jayson pick up the phone to their agents and be like, get me the
seriously.
F out of here.
This could happen so fast.
You don't do that.
They have so little flexibility right now that this whole infrastructure could collapse.
Yeah, in a perfect world, every team would, I'm not going to win the title. Okay, then let's tank, but everything's cool and awesome still, and like nobody's pissed. And then we get a really sweet draft pick, and then we open up like space under the cap too. Like it just doesn't work that way.
But spoiled Boston fans don't understand sports. Like you do get stuck in the middle sometimes. It's not tank or sell out and go for it. It is not option A or B. Sometimes you just kind of live in that middle ground and look for opportunities to strike, try to be aggressive, do whatever. But it's like you're not the friggin' entitlement. You don't just get to play for championships all the time.
That's usually the case, John.
Lose in the first round. It happens. It happens to decent teams too. And then they come back and they reload a year after. You don't just friggin' desperately either throw all your chips in the middle and try to like improve a little or just start trading pieces. When you do realize you've got major roster issues, you do have to do something dramatic. So you might do that in the offseason. But what's happening in season is just what's going to happen. And I think people just have to get ready for it. People aren't able to accept mediocrity. It's a mediocre team, and I don't know much fixes it in season. But you might have to do some surgery in the offseason, and that could take bold strokes.
The problem is the organization, and from what you guys have been saying the last few weeks, you guys believe in the younger players on this roster. And throw Rob. We know Rob's a good player. I'm talking about Pritchard, Nesmith, Edwards, Grant. Is there any hope for development with those guys? It doesn't seem like Brad sees it. So what are they holding on to assets, picks, those kind of things for? There is room for a deal at this deadline if you get aggressive. I truly believe it. And you can swing the season in a better direction and start building toward a move at the same time in the offseason. You guys want to see prospects built up? It's just not going to happen.
Well, what I would consider doing, it's not about prospects. Look, prospects are assets, okay? You don't give them away for nothing. You use them wisely. It doesn't matter what it is. If they have value to someone, then they have value, okay? You start to throw them away, then you have fewer things that you could possibly fold into trades. You need sweeteners along the way if you are able to get somebody who's going to do a deal with you, because right now you don't have a lot on the roster to trade beyond the Jays. So you got to find creative ways to put things together. What I'm saying is you might look at a player, again, like a Kemba Walker, who is an all-star last year and scores around 20 points per game, and move him for something that isn't even close to that type of player because the roster needs it more. That's what I would need. That would be a bold stroke. A type of player that doesn't score 20 points a game but helps you in different ways, and you're like, this team needs that more than this. I know Kemba's more of a star than this guy, but we got to do something to fix the roster. That's the type of stuff that you look to do. Not always. Everything's not going to be Bradley Beal and Anthony Davis and stuff like that. It just doesn't work that way.
In a buyer's market, you might pivot to sell because it's more advantageous. And that's why when I hear this Thompson whisper start coming, I mean, there's a chance that moving Thompson could give you the flexibility to make an improvement in that. But I feel like Thompson, if they're trying to win this year, Thompson's an important part of that. There's a reason he's here and he's playing well. If you're moving on from him, I think we're talking about that other Kemba situation that you mentioned, John. And so I'm interested to see where that goes.
That's it. It's just Jimmy's been saying it from the get-go. It's just hard to do it in the middle of the season.
And I'm sorry, I like Thompson, but he's not the key to a championship.
Yeah.
Like by any stretch.
You're making it sound like he's like,
they could trade Thompson and bring in a wing, and they'll be better off.
Thompson could evaporate. Like if Thompson, if Thompson just ceased to exist, it's like in like Avengers. If he just turned into particles right now, like I don't know that much would change. But I don't know.
We would say, wow, maybe Rob will start now.
I wonder how much Grant will play tonight. That's what we'd be talking about.
Guys, again, the names Joe Sway threw out there. Stanley Johnson scores 2 points a game. Aaron Baines is the worst center in the NBA. It'd be a significant drop-off from Thompson.
No, it wouldn't.
Yes, it would be.
No, you know why, Bob?
You wouldn't use those players.
You wouldn't play that guy. You just play the other guys who you think are better.
Yeah. The whole point is
it would make no impact
for Theis and Rob. Yeah.
You know why it would? You know why it's an upgrade? Because you'd play better players more, and you wouldn't be tempted to keep playing Tristan Thompson and settle for mediocrity. That's why it's better.
Yeah.
So we keep getting into the center rotation, but it's about that fourth wing spot right now. That's where the zeros are coming from. Every center on this roster plays well.
Trade Thompson for a wing, and then you're better off.
We can dream of OG, but it's not happening.
Fine, somebody else. I'm just saying, that position is expendable. That player is expendable. I think a lot of people would agree with that. And then you can bring on a player that you might actually fill in a void or a position that you need that depth at more than you do at the center position. If Brad can't figure out which one to play, he has too many.
It's true. The tough part is Ingles who play defense, score a little bit.
Are we happy with Barnes or not happy with Barnes if it happens? If it ends up being Neesmith and a first for Barnes, is everybody happy or are they
thrilled? I'm absolutely thrilled. I think it would solve so much.
Absolutely.
So what I
do it. It's not going to make them title contender, but you bring in a player and whatever.
Yeah. What I believe is we heard the recent reports that he might still now, which is garbage, which means they're not getting the offers that they think they want for him.
They want more. Yeah, it's leverage.
Well, they want more, or right now everyone's like, I'm not giving you anything real. If that's the case, Celtics are in better position for it. So who knows? Who knows?
He's definitely. I mean, I don't know why they'd keep him. If somebody wants to offer them something of somewhat value, I don't know why they'd keep him.
They could trade Hield instead, but he's a tough guy to move. He makes so much money, and he's not that good.
He's not that good.
I think a good team would benefit from a Barnes addition. I just don't think. I think the Celtics aren't good enough even with him, but I still think I can still see the value in bringing him on for whether it's another piece to then trade at another point or just to have that depth player and you add in the offseason. I can see the value there. But I think he makes sense to be traded to a team that has championship aspirations, whether it's this season or future seasons, because I do think that he can help win a championship.
Yeah.
I'm going to lose my mind if Miami gets him for the most low ball offer.
They might.
Imagine.
What happens in 9 days when we don't have this to talk about anymore? What are we going to do? Because we've wasted so much time talking about something that's definitely not going to happen.
Talk about
these shows will be
didn't
22
happen.
minutes long, and the last 8 minutes will be all about what I ate for dinner. Like
yeah.
what condiments I used.
Ooh. I'm a huge condiment guy, by the way.
Pickles. It'll be all
Not
about my pickles.
We talked about them as a main course
mayo
last
guy.
time. Now we can talk about them as a condiment.
You too,
Yeah.
Jimmy. I like mayo. Huge mayo guy.
Yeah, so a lot of people hate on mayo. I don't know why.
Mayo's the king of all condiments.
I'm a huge
Because it's
mayo
not
guy.
cool. It's not cool to say you
I
love
put
mayo.
mayonnaise on my mayonnaise.
Oh, I don't like mayo,
That's
but I
how much
love
like it.
aioli. Idiots.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
right.
They like it.
Fancy
They
mayo.
just don't want to admit
Oh,
it.
I like Thousand Island dressing, but I won't touch mayo. It's like, get out of
Right.
here.
The problem
You don't know what you're
with mayo,
Idiot.
and
I eat ranch dressing.
they do this with cream cheese too. If you get a bagel, they put a whole package. You know, you just want a little bit of mayo.
Love cream
They'll
cheese.
give you a whole jar. They'll give you a
Sure,
whole
you
jar.
You can't say that to people from
I
Jersey.
can never have
or New
enough
York.
cream cheese.
Yeah, they get a whole. Yeah, it sounds
Yeah.
better.
So that's what we're gonna do, guys. Get ready for condiment
Mayo
talk. After, we're gonna go from TPE to condiment, not condoms. Condiment, guys.
You
Condiment.
did emphasize that first. The first two
Chipotle
syllables.
mayo, guys.
Not
Chipotle
a big
mayo.
condom guy.
Yeah. What did this turn into? This is watch the viewers just. What do we have? We got Cleveland tomorrow, so no Kemba, which that's gonna be great.
Cleveland played today too. Got destroyed.
Oh.
They've been really bad.
That might be the worst game of the year tomorrow.
Well,
Should
you
we-
guys watch the Rockets on Sunday.
First 4 people on the chat to volunteer get to do the show tomorrow.
Yeah, seriously.
I'm gonna write them-
Seriously, dude. I was just thinking about that. I was like, how am I going to get out of tomorrow's show?
Yeah.
I'm gonna remember these names. Let's see who pops up.
Man.
We're bringing in.
I don't know, hey.
The favorite brand of ketchup. Look
We
what
had
we
Sherrod
started.
here on Sunday night. We had some rave reviews, so be very nervous if you miss a show, because I don't know if you ever heard of Wally Pip, but he never made it back onto the field.
You could get Wally pipped. Yeah, Sherrod's waiting in the wings. And like I said, we mentioned that we'd have other guest hosts on throughout the year, and we will, and that's how we'll keep it fresh. We're tired of these friggin' trade conversations. Celtics lose. We got another one tomorrow, so we'll cut this one off here. But that's it, guys. Final thoughts?
Final thoughts for me is
Take your anger out on this next team. I want to see that first quarter, that defense. I mean, earlier, John, I mean, you do this often, but you were a little too brutal with the Celtics saying that they played no defense. At least that first quarter, they were defending the
They
three.
played some.
Yeah, they played some. So just let that carry over into this start of the next one. Let's see if they can do it for at least 3 quarters. You know, that should do it, right, against this team?
my final thought is
Look at this comment right here.
blame the Celtics for that. They look all right.
Yeah.
That's the grind of
My final
the
comment.
What's that guy look like?
That regular season grind.
Bring in the boomer. Could be some Nick. Nick just pretends he wants to be on the show. He just wants to feel wanted. He doesn't really want to be on the show.
We've asked him,
He
and
wants
he's just
to
like,
speak.
"No, I'm
Yeah, ask
like
him.
doing nothing." But no,
He's answered the bell like 1 out of 10 times we've asked him.
Yeah.
Okay. Nick, we're throwing down the gauntlet. Next time a slot is available, take it or never be asked again.
This is the Cleveland Cavaliers we're talking about, Nick.
Cleveland.
Nick,
One of
Nick
these
would
guys.
be going for tomorrow.
One of these sad old guys wants a night off. But yeah, Bobby, last thoughts for you, and we'll wrap it. We're just about at an hour.
Yeah, I'm skipping my final thoughts.
Yeah, did you even say anything, Jimmy? My bad.
No,
cut
every
you
time I tried to, we moved to something else. But to be honest, I don't even have any good final thoughts except they beat the Rockets. They lose to the Jazz. They'll probably beat the Cavs tomorrow. Like, what does it all really mean other than, like, they're better than the bad teams and, like, they're not as good as the good teams? So, like, we'll just keep doing this until the season ends, probably.
Yeah, can we just rerun the Rockets show tomorrow when they win?
Yeah. All right, exactly.
Yeah.
We didn't get enough into Marcus Smart tonight. He's got to be better.
He does.
He's got to be.
But he'd been so good since he came back. You noticed, I mean, somebody's got to give me credit for that, right? Like,
Sure.
These are the type of games I'd jump on Marcus, but he's been so friggin' good. He had an awful game tonight. Awful. But, I mean, it just –
I mentioned it off the top, but again, when the shots don't fall, that's the glaring – it's like the Rob Williams situation. It's like Marcus Smart gets blamed way more for missing shots than anybody else does or ever will, and he missed 2 big ones tonight. So it was pretty obvious that
and 6
a lot
others
of fans were going to go.
Yeah, he didn't have a good shooting night. His radar was off all night. There weren't a lot of in and out misses. You could see it out of his hand. I'm like, oh God, that's going to miss way right. Like
he was out of control.
Yeah,
he was. He was flopping. He wasn't setting himself a lot of the time. He had one great cut early in the game. The 2 cuts of the game were his back line, Brown off of Rob. You guys didn't give Rob credit for that wrist flick pass. That was nice.
Yeah,
you saw shades of movement. You saw shades of greatness from this offense.
Could be an imposter. We don't know. If it is you, Sherrod.
The real Sherrod wouldn't say his whole name.
Real Sherrod would just pop right into this show right now and say hi.
Yeah, true.
Because he's got the link. He could just come in and say that anytime he wants.
We used to get Neesmith on the show, but I haven't seen Neesmith in a while.
Yeah.
Anyways, Bob.
Oh man.
Did you have
anything? Yeah, that's all I got on Smart.
Are you in like an office building or something?
Yeah. Gotta get yourself in a working mindset.
Bobby's burning the midnight candle.
I don't want to know the truth where Bobby is right now. He said that so creepy. That was
a
lie.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, totally.
Everyone gets so upset that I always change locations. Jimmy's got the same roof. We see John's plant. You gotta mix it up.
You changing hair now? You got the Gordon Hayward / MGK thing going. Machine Gun Kelly.
Hey, you look like you're in like the waiting room of like waiting to get your taxes done or something.
There he is.
It was me.
Hey.
It was me, fellas.
Really
I believe
it was me.
I didn't believe it. I did.
I even went all caps.
Yeah,
you did
with an emoji.
Hey, we should have known that people weren't trying to catfish us with the name with your name up there, man. You don't have a burner?
Yeah, I think what
his burner says A. Sherrod Blakely.
Yeah, he's doing it wrong.
Real discreet.
Marcus Smart gave you that bubble vibe, right? Well, we saw in the playoffs, right, Sherrod? Those 3-pointers down the stretch.
He was horrible. And I love Marcus.
Disaster.
It was
you guys know I love Marcus to death, but he was just horrible tonight. Yeah. I gotta believe that this is like the bottom of the ocean, Marcus Smart we saw, and that everything we're just gonna be swimming upstream rest of the way. Yeah. He was so bad tonight.
Better hope so.
Yeah. I like this $5.
It looks better than I expected. Yeah,
it does because it raises us up above the banners.
Cinco
it's not
box?
crowded. I like it.
5 out.
5. Penta box.
Wide out.
Huh? It's not bad.
Penta
it allows us to do this if we want. Look at us.
Whoa.
Oh, Jimmy's loving that.
Sexy.
Yeah.
That's up right.
It's not bad. I like how it's cropped. Sherrod, we'll give you your pound of flesh tonight. Outside of Smart, what did you think?
I liked that they competed. I mean, they didn't play great.
What? Dude, you trashed me for that take on Sunday night. You literally trashed me. You're like, they better win. I don't want any of this moral victory.
Win or go home.
Look, Jimmy, but before you get your panties all bunched up again like you used to, listen, hear me out. Utah is the best freaking team in the NBA right now. They are so much better than the Celtics from top to bottom right now. The fact that Boston was able to hold their own for more than just a half, I thought was a positive. The thing that bothered me about the game, though, was Tatum was in position to be the dagger thrower. Missed the free throw, got the rebound, had the easy put back, would have made it a one-possession game with about, I think, 40 seconds of play. Now you got a game, but he misses the putback.
Mm-hmm.
You got to make those plays. You got to make those plays.
Jimmy, are you going to let him talk to you like that?
Jimmy, I love Jimmy. That's my guy.
He just came in here and just backhanded you.
Honestly, that was that was
you know what?
flashback.
I'm watching Zion Williamson now, so I apologize if I'm a little Bogartish right now. I'm watching Zion right to my left here.
No. Trust me. Jimmy's gonna say something back at another show. He'll get you back.
Yeah.
I know Jimmy. That's what Jimmy does.
You know what Jimmy does exactly.
Yeah.
I just had to remind Sherrod that he and John both laughed me off the show practically when I said, I just want to see a hard-fought game. Now all of a sudden it's like, now it's they played hard. But at the end of the day, they are who we thought they were. That famous quote, they lost to the better team, which they've been doing. They'll lose to the Nets. They'll lose to the Sixers. They'll lose to the Nuggets, the Jazz. So, it's just who they are right now.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Riding in the waves.
Because I would be mad if there was a deal out there that would make them appreciably better. That would piss me off. I don't think there is right now.
How'd you feel about Rob?
On your side.
How'd you feel about Rob against Gobert, though? I thought it was a good test.
He was good. Not great, but he was good. I like what Theis was doing earlier in the game, where Theis was hitting that free throw jump shot when Gobert was just kind of camping the lane. I love that. Love that.
That is what frustrates me about this game, because I think they are a piece like Barnes, like one of these role guys from being a much better team. But when you have Tatum making that miscue down the stretch, when you have Theis fouling his head off, when you have some of the Kemba turnovers we see, Brown was great, but you can't have all these rotation guys, your core reliable pieces, Smart, not to mention his game. If they're not going to come through in crunch time, if they're not going to have great fourth quarters and make this team worth investing in, then you're right. Harrison Barnes wouldn't change a game like this. So that it does get frustrating when the main pieces let you down. I just think there's so much pressure on them when Semi gives you nothing, when Grant gives you nothing, Teague, Pritchard. It puts pressure on the top five, puts pressure on the top six to go extra minutes, to do more. And I think that comes back to hurt them at the end of these games. And I think that's kind of limiting what Rob can do too if he's on limited minutes.
That whole concept of him being on limited minutes, I hate. I think
it's true.
Player.
Bobby, this was decided last show, Bobby. It's so fraudulent.
At least say 25 plus.
Sherrod did it again tonight. He did it again. It's not the hip, it's fear, it's trust. He did the same exact thing he always does, Brad, that is, which is he was afraid to play him against Gobert, so he waited till Favors got up, went to the scorer's table, and as soon as he did, Rob got up too. For the first two rotations. Gobert played 7 minutes. They overlapped for about 30 seconds in the first stint and not at all in the second. The second Gobert went out, Rob got up again. And then he played against him in crunch time a little bit. But the first two shifts Rob got in there, he did not see Gobert.
I hate that.
I hate that.
Favors is such a worse
matchup. You guys just think they're making up an injury because they want to play him less.
No, I think that some injuries are convenient umbrellas for you to make rotation decisions.
Exactly.
That there's medical data that can back up your assertion. But if let's say this were the playoffs, and you guys do this all the time. If it were the playoffs, he'd be out there doing X, Y, Z, 1, 2, 3. I think that's kind of what we're seeing with Rob. That if this were like a must-win game and there was a matchup that they felt Rob could win for them, he'd be out there playing more minutes.
It's a comfort thing.
It is. Let's face it. Daniel Theis, Tristan Thompson, those are Brad's snuggies. He loves them in the middle. They make it feel nice and warm and fuzzy. And Rob, sometimes you feel nice and warm and fuzzy. Sometimes he rubs you the wrong way.
Rob's a wild card.
Yeah. I love that about him now.
It stresses Brad out a little bit. He doesn't need that in his life. So he sticks with his Thompsons and his Tysons.
Yeah.
Well, I like what you said about Theis because that's going to be the dilemma down the stretch. You don't think Daniel Theis is looking at Brad at that 1 minute mark, being like, things could be different right now if I was in there that whole time. I mean, you have to feel that way if you're Theis, right? You've held this spot down for a while here, and you're balling out. You're also playing at a high level.
Yeah, like Daniel Theis will, take you out to a nice dinner, have you home by 8 in time for curfew. But Rob Williams, like, you're going out with him, like, you're out all damn night, and you don't know what's going to go down, but you might have the time of your life. But Brad,
I did not know where you were going to go with that, Jimmy, and I'm glad you went where you did, because I was going somewhere completely. You said nice dinner back home by 8. I had a completely different alternate reality.
Whatever your interpretation of the night of your life is what Rob might give you, but some people aren't ready for that.
I'm gonna give you the night of your life. That's what Rob says.
Yeah.
And Brad is like, no, I just want to go to bed. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, Jimmy, damn.
Jimmy's been strong with the analogies lately.
Man.
That's so not conducive to social distancing, Jimmy. I'm just letting you know.
25 plus minutes.
I just want to put on my little sleeping cap, give kiss my wife, sleep in 2 separate beds,
Have some warm milk and cookies before you
have
call
a glass
it a night.
of warm milk, take off my slippers, sleep, just like every,
Sherrod, what's this Tristan Thompson report all about we're seeing today? Yahoo. They're talking about trading him?
I think it's an option. I think every single player on this team not named Jaylen Brown or Jayson Tatum, there has been some level of discussions about them with other teams. It has to be. But the problem that the Celtics are running into is that they have very few choice meets, players, assets, whatever you want to call them, that teams want. Because you guys were talking earlier about like sweeteners, right? That's all they got on this damn roster.
That's all they got.
And
7
listen,
packets of Splenda. That's
exactly. I mean, look, I've got my fruit juice. I got my soda. I don't need all this damn sweetener. I need a real drink, Jimmy. I need a real drink.
That's what they got.
And all I got is sweeteners. This is not helping me.
I don't want you sweet and low.
That's why I think Danny Ainge is preparing everyone for them to not get a deal done, because I don't think it's him blowing smoke. I think it's just the reality of the landscape that everyone is like, well, we like Jayson, we like Jaylen, and then it gets kind of like cricket silence at that point.
Right.
So
that's the thing.
It's gonna be hard, and they don't have like those real choice draft picks. They have their own picks, but who the hell is itching to pick number 22?
Exactly. Yeah.
So. At least when they had the picks from Cleveland and Cleveland sucked, they can kind of dangle that out there.
Sherrod, we've been saying this for 40-something games, but it might take you to say it in order to get Bobby to get it.
I love Bobby. My cute brother.
Somebody's going to have a different opinion around here.
Oh, yeah.
You got one every night.
God.
I like it. I like it. The
Q's
guys are going to team up on something else for sure.
We will.
We're going to turn this background orange on Friday.
Don't go. I was just going to say, nothing orange here.
I always got
facts.
Orange near me?
Facts. Even on the road, you got a hoodie or something.
Oh, boy.
And
got my orange scrubby when I get ready to take a bath. I got like my.
There it is.
Wow.
That's what I was staring at.
There it is.
I got everything, man.
Yeah. Who's playing in the tournament?
That'll be coming down on Thursday
my team.
or Friday.
I know. I'm just kidding.
Always.
I might have watched less than 1 second. Don't look to me for draft talk. I'll just tell you that much. Okay.
I'll tell you now. There are like at least 2 or 3 really, really, really good players coming into the draft this year. The kid at Oklahoma State is just amazing. I love him. Kate.
He's a blast to watch.
I'm telling you, he's like Carmelo Anthony good back when he was at Syracuse. That one and done team is okay, but I think that's my sleeper pick to win the national championship this year, because with all the craziness going on with COVID and everything and health and safety protocols, you need one guy that can put a team on his back and carry him. He's as close as the NCAA has right now to being that one-man band. I'm a huge fan of his. God, this was a year to damn the Celtics had a shot at the number 1 pick. This is a damn year.
It's still possible.
That mellow year they played in the Garden that year on the way. I got to see them twice. That team up close. That was fun.
That team was awesome.
That was the best team.
5 or something.
They whatever that was. We went. I covered it for I forget who I was with at the time. Maybe Channel 7. And went to see both of those games. That was awesome.
That's cool.
Seeing Melo up close. It was that team was fun.
Oh, the hype was real. Yeah.
Yeah, but you didn't
Very
expect
real.
they were going all the way. They were good, but I mean that was a run. That team was. I mean that was great.
Yeah.
What were they? They were like they weren't a one. They
No,
weren't.
They
a,
weren't ranked. They weren't
like
ranked
a
going into
three.
the year.
No, they were ranked that year.
No,
Yeah,
in the
they-
tournament.
Going into the year.
Oh.
Yeah. No, that I love that team. And that's why Kurt Heinrich was always one of my favorite players, because if it wasn't for him taking that weak ass baseline jumper that Hakeem Warwick was able to block, we wouldn't have a national championship.
Yeah.
He really didn't feel me when I brought that up, like when we actually met when he was with the
I was
Bulls.
gonna say.
You brought that up.
But no shame.
I want to ask Tatum about when he lost to Syracuse on a half-court shot. That'll probably go just as well. I was there for that one.
You know what? I haven't brought that up with him, but now that you bring it to my attention, I just might bring it up to him at some
It's
point
on the
when we
list,
ever
man.
can see guys face to face.
Somebody's gotta.
And this is the time.
Yeah.
You had that one-on-one with him, right, Bobby?
If you can ever get close to him again,
Oh wait, no, I'm thinking of Melo. I'm sorry, never mind.
if we have meeting.
Melo,
action.
yeah.
That
Yeah.
was Melo. That was good.
I love Melo.
That was good.
That was a great interview. Yeah, you could tell he's really into it.
real
Oh,
Melo.
I was trying to figure out where he lived on South. Did you live on South, Sherrod?
Yeah, Winding
Oh, right.
Winding Ridge, I think.
Syracuse
I think
Semi.
that's where Melo lived too. I couldn't get him to remember the streets. It'd been too long.
There's lots of reasons why we don't remember those streets,
Hmm.
Especially Melo.
that's yeah.
I'm glad
Yeah.
I'm glad we can talk about this here.
So about those Cavaliers, no,
No, we're
yeah,
done
right.
with
We're
it.
gonna do a damn preview.
no, the
not doing a
cadavers they're
preview.
back to being the cadavers again, man. They're horrible.
They're toast. They're toast. But I feel like this one's going to be like annoyingly close because it's a non-Kemba game and it's going to be weird. And
Hey, on
close.
Friday,
It'll be close.
on Friday we get to talk about Barnes again.
That's right.
Yeah.
Barnes might mysteriously. I want to see one of those pulled from the lineup, walk across to the opposing locker room sort of trade situations. Those are great.
That'd be awesome.
You know,
Perfect timing.
those are
Is
great.
that what you thought
2004.
happened when you saw Kemba go to the locker room? Is that what you thought, John?
Yeah, right. I was like, that's it. Traded. No, that happened in 2004 during that when Nomar got traded for the Sox. They were playing Minnesota. Minkiewicz was part of a separate
Minkiewicz.
trade. He just walked
Yeah.
across the dugout. I love that. All right, I play for this team now. See if we can swing that on Friday. Just get it done.
Get it done, Danny. Get it done.
Get it done. So we never have to talk about trades again because I can't take it anymore.
Oh, I can't
Oh,
wait.
I love this. This is great.
Well, at least we've gotten away from the silly stuff, which is
Deal.
the pie in the sky players that are never coming. At this point, it seems like Barnes or a much lesser player where you're not eating into the TPE, that's not going to excite anybody, or the buyout market. That's kind of where we are at this point. So
Yeah.
get excited for Barnes or get ready for something that's not going to excite you at all.
Yeah. He's the best option right now for the Celtics as far as realistic option.
That's it.
But you know what? If he comes in and does the job that people expect, then yeah, you might get to the conference finals, second round, but you're gonna need more.
Yeah,
If you're gonna get out of the East.
This team as constructed, I don't think any piece that's out there gets them anywhere. I think the big three are better than the Celtics plus a piece still, no matter what. And you could even argue Miami might be as well. So I think they are who they are, which is clearly in that not only tier 2, possibly even below. You know, they're fighting with the guy. They're Charlotte. They're Indiana. I mean, they're in that.
Ooh.
They're in that conversation. You think the Celtics played Charlotte in a 7-game series? It wouldn't be a nail biter. Of course,
It would be a war.
It would be awesome. That would be my favorite series.
That'd be
my
great.
favorite
Right
series too, Jimmy.
If the playoffs start right now, they'd be playing the Miami Heat.
They'd be
round
playing the
one.
Heat in a 4-5, and that wouldn't go great at all.
I don't like that.
Right.
I don't
But-
like that.
No.
But they're not better than any of the teams around them either right now. They're clear, you know. So again, you could trade for Barnes and still lose in the first round, and then you start wondering if you make that trade, you better be making that trade for more than just this year. It better be something that improves you in the long run. So if you're trading for Barnes, it's because you want Harrison Barnes on your team going forward, not to get you one round deeper this year.
Yeah. And Danny's talked about that. That whatever they do, it's not just going to be for Band-Aid for the moment. It's going to be looking for them to be part of their near future. I want to see the present look better than it does now, though. Not going to lie.
Yeah.
And
it feels like so long ago they started 8-3 and they beat the Heat and they beat the Bucks on opening night. I mean, there was potential early this year, and I think it's been more mental than anything that this team.
I would just like to see them do different things, though. Again, we keep talking about this. Like, again, this is where it comes back to Brad. Like, just when they played fast tonight, they played better. Just maintaining that pace. Again, it's you
fast break. Yep.
You see these moments where they start to do the thing you want, when they have those high assist games, when they play with pace, when they really push the ball. But then when they get into half-court sets, I mean, you had times where just Theis is holding the ball for 10, 12 seconds, eating up a shot. Like, what? That can't – you can't allow that to happen. You want to just see – if it's not going to be a personnel change, it has to be like a philosophy change or a buy-in right now, because the way that they play isn't good enough. So – just force the issue. If I were Brad, I'd say you got 10 seconds to shoot every freaking time down. And if not, if you're still holding the ball, there's 12 seconds left on the clock, I'm going to yank you at the next whistle. Just go. Just friggin' go. Try something, just try something different. But you saw it in spurts tonight. That's when they did their best, when Jaylen was aggressive, when they got the ball and attacked. And then they fall back into their same patterns and the same stuff happens.
Yeah, especially when that ball is not getting passed across the court. I mean, that's when the opportunities start to really open up. And I just think when they start to panic in that fourth quarter, especially at the start of the fourth quarter, and we all sort of saw it coming, right? Because we've seen that pattern. And, of course, this is the Utah Jazz we're talking about. To see them, to say that the way they would recover from that, and Jaylen, what Tatum did down the stretch, Sherrod brought up a great point. Things could have been different if he converts that bunny, or whether Robert Williams, that foul, or whether he makes that layup. I mean, it's just so many what ifs. But the Celtics down the stretch, I mean, they hung in there. They just didn't execute the way they were supposed to.
Yeah. Couple things we'll say before we wrap it. If you don't already, follow us on YouTube. Turn on your notifications. You'll be notified every time we go live. You never know when guests are just going to appear. So
that's how I knew you guys were live. I got the notification.
Just stay alert. People could jump in all the time. We may have one of you guys on. We've got one of you guys producing the show right now, which is great.
Wow.
The producer was
Rags
a fan of the show. Yeah. Amit.
Rags to riches.
Rags to riches. You never know. But hats off to Ahmed, who does a great job behind the scenes here with a lot of things for CLNS Media. Absolutely. Sherrod, people are asking for you to come back, so we always do want you to come back. Sherrod did just a quick plug for him podcast today this is great CLNS cross promotional stuff with the Cedric Maxwell, the A-List podcast with Sherrod and Kwani Lunis. So subscribe to that if you haven't already. That's going to be released in the morning. Video will be out on our YouTube page as well, our YouTube channel as well, so you can see the video there. But he's got Max on. What'd you guys talk about? Anything good? Give us a preview.
Oh gosh, shoot.
Right.
We talked about
Max the trip.
Well, yeah, I mean, we talked about a lot of different things. We talked a lot about Rob Williams and just Max's thoughts on that, about how he thinks Brad should or should not use Rob. We talked obviously about just this time of year where there's all this trade talk, and we talked about it from a player's perspective of what that's like. And Max, obviously, as you guys know, Max went down memory lane on us, gave us some good stories there. So you have to check the podcast out and hear what he had to say. And we just had a long conversation about just typical random, Max type ish that we got into. It was great. It was a lot of fun. I always have a good time talking with Max, and he was as colorful as Max can be. So it was good. It was a definitely good talk.
Good. Nice. So look for that. Of course, Josue Pavone with his Causeway Street podcast, Bobby Manning with Dome Theory. Again, we always talk about it. The Jimmy John podcast in development. You might get it at some point or another.
Post-production.
Works.
But again, subscribe. A whole host of podcasts on the network. We talk about it all the time. Goodman and Ryan. We winning plays. The list goes on. Of course, Celtics beat. We have an episode that just dropped with Jared Weiss. Actually, some really good nuggets there. We didn't get to talk about it on the show involving Aaron Gordon and other things. But tomorrow, when we're bored of talking about the game, we can talk about that stuff as well. But his take on Gordon was he's dying to get out of there at this point. So that's another interesting name. He's not playing yet, right?
Aaron Gordon,
he just got back.
He did.
Yeah.
He's in a weird spot though. Weird spot.
Yeah.
Because he wants out, but he knows that he doesn't have the kind of cachet of a James Harden to say I want out, and people be like, okay, we don't like you want out, but we're okay with you saying you want out. So he's kind of like,
he's the kind of guy who would get fined for asking out.
Right. He's the guy that would get fined for talking about wanting to be out. So he's being, I think, publicly quiet about it. But there's no question. I mean, you talk to folks who are in front offices across the league, and Aaron wants out. And it's just a matter of Orlando getting an offer that they like for him. I think they will. I think he will be with another team. Could be Boston. Who knows?
So we'll talk ourselves into that one tomorrow.
Nice. Yeah, we'll need to eat up some airwaves time. So
tomorrow.
Get ready for my offer.
Okay,
tomorrow. Firing up the trade machine.
Bobby's going to do about 45 trade machines. Tweet them out during the day and talk about them again tonight. He'll probably have Celtics beat writers coming at him on Twitter, and I'm going to have to jump to his defense.
True. Don't get their hopes up.
Don't get their hopes up, Bobby. Okay, these poor people. These poor people. We're going to talk about Brad Stevens going to Indiana, which is definitely going to happen despite what he said. No, I'm just kidding. But
never know.
But you never know.
John loves that story.
And a whole host of other things, and then probably a little bit about the game as well. So we'll see. But
John, what about you? Probably got a Patriots podcast or two lined up with all these trades or all these signings going down.
Yeah, for any Pats fans out there, every night 7:30 Patriots Beat podcast live to go over all of the signings. Last two nights, really good numbers. People obviously super interested in it now, so stay with us for that stuff. Subscribe to our Patriots YouTube channel where you can get all of that action. That's good. Honestly, to quick pivot to Patriots. Obviously,
Josue is like antsy over there, dude. What's going on, bro? You gotta go to the bathroom or something, dude?
Do you need to like leave us and kind of handle your business?
Yeah, man. Keep going.
He's like,
he's out. He's like,
that was an emergency.
I just moved him. He looks like he's got to go to the bathroom. Yeah, I can see.
That's what I was thinking.
That's a universal sign.
Pats still have 35 to 40 million left under the cap, even with the signings, which is bananas.
They still have money?
Masterful stuff. I mean, the contract details coming out right now, it's amazing. Everything is built to have a really small cap hit this year, and then when the next TV contract comes up, that's when those numbers go up. But everyone's counting on a 220 or 230 cap, and this year it's 180, whatever.
That seems way too high.
So all of the first year numbers of these guys are 2 and 3. So they still have 35 plus million left to spend under the cap. And obviously you got to do draft picks and you got to re-sign your own guys. So some of that's going to get spent. But they could don't be stunned if they come out with another boom, couple big ones. Right now you're in the I've got your offer, but I'm shopping it phase. And there's a few offers still out there for big players. It could get really fun. So there's still more. It's crazy.
I was told that, they couldn't ever sign last season. They couldn't sign anybody because of the cap. They went all in, but now all of a sudden, I guess the cap is crap again.
I hate playing Pat's homer because, I'll be critical of anything or anybody, but this could be potentially a genius long-term play for Belichick, which was it's an absolute tank season, but we are going to buy everything this 1 year where we've got a chance where no one has money and we'll have all the money. and there's nothing anyone can do to stop us. There's teams out there thinking like, I'd like to sign a guy. Like how many, and they just can't do it. I mean, how many times have you seen the Patriots? They got no cap room and watching all these guys go off the board. It's so weird where they're like, there's like 3 teams that have money,
Gibson's still going to be a monster next year.
As long as they're signing the right guys.
That team in Tampa.
I guess we'll find out.
They are. TB12's crew is still just the baddest of oof.
Deshaun Watson. That's the name to watch. Everybody get excited.
You think there's a chance?
I am.
I think no. I think it's more likely than not smoke that's being thrown out there to make San Francisco potentially think that, hey, we're going to go get somebody if you don't give us Jimmy G soon, or make your trade. So that's what I think who they want. I still think that's who they want.
If you don't give us Jimmy G, we have Cam Newton.
Cam Newton's not going to be the Cam Newton.
Look at me tremble with the news of that, Bobby.
You don't think Cam's the starter, John?
Cam's only the starter if they draft a quarterback in round 1 and they wait 2-3. They wait a few games for him to be ready. Cam is there to compete for a job or to be an absolute break glass in case of emergency fallback. They're not entering. I don't believe they're entering the season with him in mind.
We'll see.
The quarterback domino is yet to fall.
It's a lot of money for a backup.
That's my take. That's my take.
I think they know what that in case of emergency Cam looks like. We saw it last year. Not pretty.
Just pretty. I can't tell, buddy.
I'm like waiting for you. I don't know what you're doing, bro. Like, really?
I think you were crossing your legs. I thought you had to run to the bathroom.
My camera was falling. I'm trying to fix it. And
okay. I thought you were like.
No.
I was like, go do it.
Right? You're having too much fun.
No. But all right, we're off the rails. We're at the 90-minute mark, but we had to extend it a bit because Sherrod jumped on. So we will say goodnight. We'll be back. I want to dedicate this show to Josue's Wi-Fi that made it all the way through clean for maybe the first time all season. That was
wow.
Me off. You still freaking took me off.
Yeah,
that's a
right.
good
but
point.
Just so everyone knows, Josue's
accomplishment.
Wi-Fi pitched a perfect game. I pulled him. Okay, I pulled Josue with 2 outs in the 9th in a perfect game.
No, you pulled me out in garbage time. That's what you did. The game was already in the bag, and you just had to ruin the perfect game. The perfect game.
Yeah. So again, thanks to all the viewers. It was fun. You hung with us for a while. That was awesome. We'll see you guys back here tomorrow. Good night, everybody.